in order to truly change, we got to get outside of our comfort zone safely. And then that's when change will happen. Hey.
Howdy, everybody, and welcome to episode 183 of the SuperSetYourLife.com podcast, your weekly workout motivation to fuel your life inside and beyond the gym. Lynell Robitaille is joining us today from Orange County, California to discuss the Lion Diet. Lynell has been a strict carnivore for quite some time and is a personal trainer herself. She's worked with Taylor and myself off and on over the last year and has been a big influence on the way that I eat today. She can be found on Instagram at Lynell Robo 2020. We'll put a link to that in the show notes. She was also interviewed recently on Kelly Hogan's channel. We'll put a link to that as well. Lynell, welcome to the show. How the heck are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. And thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Pleasure's all mine. Is it okay if we pray before we start?
Sure, for sure.
Cool. Dear Father, to borrow the words of Jesus Christ in John 4:34, my food is to do the will of him who sent me and to finish his work. Lord God, thank you for our friendship with Lynell, for the example that she sets, and for the inspiration she is giving me to eat for what's optimal, not just for what's pleasurable. May this conversation be an inspiration to those listening to make positive decisions around how we eat and how we live. Amen.
Amen.
Lynell, such a pleasure to speak with you today. Thanks for carving out some time for this. Lots of questions that I have for you. So what drew you to this crazy way of primal eating in the first place?
Well, probably like most people, especially women, I would just looking to lose weight, be healthy, feel optimal and stuff. And I mean, I turned 50 this year. So in my life, I've been on a million different diets. I've tried all the fad diets, the extreme diet, done multiple things, but, I was doing keto for quite a while and I had good success with keto. But then as soon as I would go off, or I would think that, I like reached my goal or whatever the case might be, I would put weight right back on. And so I was just kind of getting frustrated, I was really frustrated. And so I was doing some research and, through the beauty of Instagram and stuff, I stumbled across a few carnivores. Dr. Berry, I was watching some of his videos and Kelly Hogan and a few things. And I just was like, you know what, I'm just going to try this. I'm going to see it and, and just see if it works for me and stuff. And so I was, like, okay, I'll give it like 30 days, 60 days. 30 days passed. I felt amazing. 60 days passed. I felt even more amazing. And so, and that was well over 2 years ago. And so now there's no turning back. There's no longer a goal as far as like a diet goal. There's like, this is now my life, how I just am. And I love to tweak things and play around within the carnivore world and just, it's making things better. If I feel good one day, or it's so much easier when you're so much more in tune with your body to what makes you feel good and what doesn't make you feel good. And so that's being within the carnivore world, it's been so easy. And I know you mentioned Lion Diet. I would probably say which that is what beef, salt and water, or ruminant meats, salt and water. I am probably 95% Lion. I do have like a little bit of heavy cream and coffee because I do drink coffee. But I also eat other meats, but every single thing is within the carnivore world. I never stray from that. I don't at all. I eat very little dairy other than the little heavy cream. I'm not a big cheese person. I do like it occasionally, but it's mainly meat and it's mainly beef and lots of salt.
Yeah.
So that's what, yeah.
How long did it take for you to make that transition from looking at it as an elimination diet? Did you ever see it as this way of life as an elimination diet? Because right now you don't feel constricted. You just don't, you eat carbs and you eat other foods as often as you want to, which is like basically never, right?
I have not had vegetables in over 2 years. I haven't had any vegetables. I haven't even had, literally nothing. I know there's like I think there's like a trace amount of carbs in like eggs or something like that. I literally, the one question I ask myself, and it's so funny, people are always like, how do you do that? Before I eat anything, I ask myself, was it an animal or did it come from an animal? That is, if you can answer that question, yes, then I will eat it. You know, and so that it's really so simple. And so people, I think sometimes people, they overthink things. I'm an overthinker when it comes to a lot of stuff, and they they just overthink the whole thought of being a carnivore. But once you see the benefits of it, it's just amazing. I mean, it truly is amazing. Like, my energy levels are through the roof, and I just feel good. I'm like, I feel better than I did when I was 30, and I'm 50 now. And so I mean, and that's what's so amazing with it. And so I think until we can get to the point, or a person can get to the point where they can truly like do assessment of their body and how they feel, and instead of looking at it as, oh, I don't get to have, my bread, I don't get to have my sugar, I don't get to have this, until you can look at it as, I feel great. That's what I'm addicted to. I love waking up in the morning, not having any bloated stomach, not having any digestive problems, and things like that. So I always try to weigh the checks and balances, like weigh what am I going to benefit from it, or, and go both ways. And so the good far outweighs what I don't get to eat, that I don't even care. It doesn't bother me at all. I mean, it's a no-brainer now. So it's pretty easy.
Wow. When you start talking about how long it's been since you've had any vegetables, sometimes people will look at you like you're absolutely out of your mind, because it's been about 5 or 6 months since I've had any vegetables at all. I do not miss them one bit whatsoever. Did you ever go through did you have to go through any sort of a transition phase where it was really, like, okay, one week without vegetables, I can make it another week? Or was it just like, I don't miss them?
I mean, I just like dropped them. And I've never been a giant vegetable lover. I do like them, but it never was this thing where I was obsessed with vegetables. I've always been more of a meat person anyways. But I definitely was more, my biggest thing would have probably been the flour, those types of, the white flour and the pasta, not even really pasta, but like tortillas and things like that. I would much rather have that type of stuff than have, like a big pile of vegetables. That vegetables were never really like my number one thing. It was always meat. And then I do like to cook. And so I would always cook, but it always involved flour and those types of carbs. So that's where it was a little bit harder to give up those types of things. And it wasn't that it was hard. It's just out of habit. I mean, you don't realize how much we become attached to our habits and how we're raised and things like that. I mean, so it was, once I just got it into my head, and I'm a pretty determined person. Once I like challenge myself to things, and once I set a challenge,
kind of game over.
I can definitely I like to make that and beat that challenge. So that's where, even now to this day, even within being a carnivore, I still always like to put challenges to myself. Like, I swear the first day of every month, it's like this trigger, like, okay, what am I going to do for this month? Or what am I going to do for this week? And stuff. So that's what it was, more like a challenge. But yeah, I mean, the vegetables, I mean, that wasn't a hard thing at all. I still like cook for my family. They have vegetables and they have, whatever carbs and things, but if they want them. But we are definitely, as a family, more meat-based, really heavily meat-based. But I'm not going to put my, my restrictions on them right now. I mean, they have to come to that conclusion themselves. So, how it is, I mean, so we have fruit in our house. We have all that. I haven't had fruit in over 2 years either. Literally. So.
Yeah, sometimes in my my sin, my carnivore sin, you already said some of yours. Coffee. Okay, I'll forgive you for that. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm not a coffee guy anymore. I actually had to quit caffeine altogether because I was getting kind of out of control with it, and it's one of those things where I can't really control it very well. So I just decided to cut it cold turkey altogether, and haven't had it for quite some time. But a keto brick bowl is kind of my first meal of every day when I'm doing 2 meals a day, if I have time for it. If not, then I'll just do 1 meal a day of nothing but beef and butter, kind of like more your style. But that first meal, sometimes I'll throw like a strawberry in it, or just like whatever fruit is in the fridge, and I always have to choke it down, which is crazy, because like it was so hard to stop eating carbs in the first place years ago, and now that I've just been doing this for so long. Have you noticed this, that your whole perspective on what food is completely changes? You don't look at it as entertainment anymore. You look at it as okay, I got this, this, and this to do the rest of the day. And that means that 40 grams of protein, great. I'm going to recover from my workout, but it's not going to knock me out of ketosis. So I'm going to be able to keep up with the kids at football practice. And then,
Yep.
then I can have my big meal before I go to bed. And you start thinking ahead in terms of how you can optimize what you're doing every day. And your life isn't around, hey, I wonder what's for dinner tonight. I hope it's good.
Yes, I completely agree. And that, I mean, in the beginning, like I said, it was just more out of habit. And yeah, it was a little bit harder to be around the people, or be around, just like carbs, and be around, all the varieties of food. But now, as time has gone on, I would say probably after the first 60 days, you could put a pile, and peanut butter used to be my favorite, peanut butter, chocolate. You could put all that in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even an interest to me. I mean, I do look at food now for what it is going to do for me, and what I'm going to get out of that and stuff. And so that's why I feel like the carnivore diet is so simple. It is literally a simple diet. And there is so much when it comes to people with food. I know, emotional eating and all these different things, and food, it does bring like, that instant satisfaction. It's very short-lived.
It's a big dopamine hit. Yeah.
Yeah. That dopamine hit, you just get it. And you're just like, oh, it feels so good, or it smells good, and all that. But I mean, then the repercussions afterwards, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the part that I really have changed my view of food. I do look at food a different way. And, and I'm sure, I know some people around me, it's like, I, kind of laugh, because people do look at you like you're a carnivore, like they're, you mean you don't eat this and you don't eat that. And I'm like, no, and you try to explain it to them, but you can kind of gauge right from the very beginning how they're going to take it. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? If they ask me questions, I have no problem explaining it all to them. But it is, so I don't know. Food is, we need to, obviously, we have to eat to live, right? In order to stay alive. So that's what it's nice with this, is we can be more specific, and we can, it's for one, it's kind of like eliminates all the questions. Is it a carnivore? Is it from an animal, or, and things like that. So it makes it simple, but
Right.
yet then it does all help. It makes our days go better. Our energy levels are up. Our blood sugars aren't going up and down and stuff. I mean, that's just like, there's a beautiful thing in that. So I love to just feel energy all day long. And, and there are times if I feel like I'm a little bit tired or something, then if I will kind of recap what I've eaten for the day, then I'm like, oh yeah, I probably need to eat a little bit more fat or a little bit more protein, and then I can do it, and then I'm fine. So it's interesting.
Are you tracking your macros right now, or are you just going completely by satiety?
So I had never tracked macros until I started working with you in, I think January, when I started working with you. And that right there taught me so much, to see like the macros on paper, and then to follow that and to see what my body was doing, tracking those macros. And so now I don't like weigh out my food like I used to, but just from doing it for those few months, I now have a good visual. When I see what I'm eating, I kind of can gauge, and I know when I've gone over and I know when I've gone under. And so I try to keep them within those same ranges. And it's just, I feel so good without those. It's like with how, with keeping in a range, I don't always stay to the T of what you had me set at, but I also don't, I know when I go above it for a day or two, then I'm like, oh yeah, I need to just, kind of like rein it back in, and then I feel amazing again. So I don't track my macros on a daily, but I definitely have way more awareness of it since working with you and just really seeing it on paper.
Thanks for that. It makes me happy to hear that.
It does help, I mean, and obviously I'm not going to ever compete in a bodybuilding competition or a physique competition or anything like that. But I wanted to train like that, and I wanted to just track like that, just for the sole purpose of seeing, how it felt. And I enjoyed it so much. I really did enjoy it. So I mean, yeah, I could go on and on, but I do love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been kind of doing the same thing too. I've been trying to get away from tracking macros, actually, because it's time consuming, and most, if not all, of the not carnivore bodybuilders like me, but most carnivores in the nutrition space will advocate to not track macros and to completely let your satiety signals tell you how much to consume of protein and fats. And what I've been finding is that I think that's wonderful for overall health, wonderful for athletic performance. Bodybuilding, okay, we got to get nitty gritty and we got to really track things because we're manipulating things beyond what our body is like necessarily designed to do in the first place, right?
Yes, yes.
But I'm with you though. I've been loosely tracking proteins, so like basically anywhere from 200 grams to 250, and then I know that I have enough to recover. And then fats, just I have no idea. Not even weighing them. Have no clue. Couldn't tell you to the nearest 100 grams how much fat I'm eating. Do not have an idea. And it works.
Yes, I agree. And that's, I think everybody, I mean, just for their own sake, at some point should track just for a short while, just so you can kind of really, because your body does change when you follow the macros, and then as we were lowering them and messing around with them, like your weight would change, or things were changing. And so I think everybody should at one point, but exactly, I mean, forever, I mean, that's exhausting. It's exhausting to even think about it. It's like the point where I'm like, I'm not going to do this. It's almost like people that say you have to eat, such and such and such, like fish and da 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 da. It's like, no, I mean, I personally, I like shrimp. I'm not a big fish person. I wish I did like sardines. I wish I did like salmon. I do not like it. And I just can't get myself to eat it. So if I was told you have to eat that in order to be a carnivore, I might have to leave the carnivore world, but you know what I mean? But I know for myself, I don't have to eat that. And so that's why with the same thing with tracking macros, I know I don't have to track them. I think everybody should track them for a short period, just so they can kind of gauge, it helps you get a better understanding of yourself. I think my opinion.
Yeah, so, absolutely. I think it was either February or March. I remember this like it was yesterday. I was at the gym, and the reason I remember this so well is because this was one of the, I will be on record saying this is one of the weirdest phone calls that I've ever had. When you told me, hey, I want my meal plan to be nothing but beef and butter, that's it. And I was like,
I remember.
I was like, whoa, what? Like, no bone broth, no steak, no, I mean, beef and butter, that's it. Nothing else. I mean, like, no bacon to make a burger out of it. No sour cream on. No, you're not. No avocado. I mean, you're literally just gonna eat this like with a fork, and you're like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And I think it took me about a second and a half to write that meal plan.
Yeah.
And I got that over to you. And then after the first week, you were loving it, and after the second week, you were still loving it. And I was like, hang on. Okay, this is pretty close to how Lucky eats. This is pretty close to how everybody else Susie, Wendy, everybody else that's sticking mainly to red meats. And I'm like, maybe there's something to this. And so I just went out on faith and basically copied what you were doing, and it changed my life. All my cravings for sugar went away. All my cravings for any kind of carbs went away. And now when I get hungry, the only thing that sounds good is red meat. And so I've just been living off of it and loving it. We get our lamb in on Monday. My wife and I just bought an entire lamb.
Nice.
So I'm talking we told them to leave the organs in too. So I'm hoping they left the brains in there, liver, heart, everything.
That's awesome. And I mean, the ground beef, for one, I mean, it's really easy to digest. It's so easy to measure. I feel like you can get more of an accurate, I mean, when it comes to especially with when I was counting the macros, the ribeyes and things like that, it's a little bit harder. Sometimes have more fat than, you know what I mean? It's like you can get kind of a general estimate, but the ground beef is just so simple. I mean, it's just so easy to do.
Yeah.
It made life easy. And then when it came to that, I like to have easy. So, and I'm satisfied with it. I'm very satisfied with it. I don't, I mean, it's still to this day, that's my number one go-to is ground beef. I do eat, like, if we have steak or tri-tip or whatever, but it's pretty much ground beef.
Do you ever feel like you're missing any nutrients from anything else, like steak? Because I know that steak has a little bit higher of a magnesium content. I'm not sure how that gets watered down when it gets processed and turned into ground beef.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, unless it's not manifesting itself in a way that, I would like try to figure out what's wrong with me. No, and I don't take any supplements. I once in a while will drink electrolytes, like, I'll just drink a bottle of that, some of that down in some water. I do like to fast. That's where when I was talking about challenges, And you're talking about caffeine. Like I went last week, I went the whole week almost without any caffeine. I just quit, no coffee, no nothing, because I those are challenges I like to do. Like last year, I went probably 3 months without any coffee, any caffeine, no diets, nothing. I just, didn't do it as a challenge, but because I also wanted to compare how I felt on caffeine versus off caffeine. And the only thing I think I truly felt was sadness. I didn't feel, and it was funny because I just watched your the Carnivore, the Coach's Corner
with the artificial sweeteners
live broadcast. Yeah. And
Thanks.
You guys were talking about the whole artificial sweeteners and all that. And I liked what Mark said. It was about like, basically, if it makes you happy, it's like it literally, and it does. It's like a little bit of coffee, because I have a long commute in the morning. I'm 60 something miles from work each way. So I have a long commute, and it just brings me happiness. And so I'm like, I've also, like I said, I've gone without it just to see. I don't want to be dependent on it, like for energy or whatever.
Correct.
But I can go without it, not a problem. And with the topic of artificial sweeteners, I'll drink a Diet Coke. I go a long time without Diet Coke as well. But once in a while, like I don't drink alcohol. So if we go out, like we were at a company party last weekend, and everybody's drinking and, all this stuff, and all of this food was out there. I ate the little burger patties and I drank a Diet Coke. That's all I had. And I drank Diet Coke because I'm like, I'm not going to beat myself up over like, oh my word, you just drank this artificial sweetener. I'm like, you know what? It was fun. It was social and everything like that. And it does not trigger any cravings in me. I know a lot of people do say that if you eat anything sweet taste, it triggers the cravings. I have zero cravings. Maybe I'm odd, but I have zero cravings for anything that's not carnivore. And so that's why drinking a Diet Coke or anything like that, it does not trigger that in me at all. So I'm very thankful for that, because I don't want to have I know people that do struggle with sugar cravings and battle that. And I'm super happy I don't have to deal with that. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So, there's also a little bit of caffeine in Diet Coke. So maybe there's like an appetite suppressant factor in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. But the dopamine hits though with the coffee and the artificial sweeteners. I think that's where people can get carried away with it. And then that's when not to bring up an inappropriate topic, but the best Seinfeld episode ever, in my opinion, is Master of Your Domain. I don't know if you've seen that one, but when they say, it's about something that's very, very inappropriate. But this is where my mindset is always with food. Is this a master over me, or am I a master over it? And if cutting something out of my diet, no matter what it is, results in sadness, depression, hard to quit. These are all the experiences that I noticed when I cut caffeine and when I cut artificial sweeteners too, was that's a sign that that's a problem, and it has too much control over my life. Got to get rid of it. Only Jesus gets to be in control of my life. That's it.
Understand. Yeah. I agree. And it's just, I have a coffee in the morning on my way into work. I'm not one that makes a pot of it and drinks it all day long and all of that stuff. Like I said, I don't drink any other things that have artificial sweeteners or whatever, but it's just to each their own, I think. But it's one of those things that, some people are like, oh, well, you're not a carnivore because you drink coffee. I'm like, I maybe I'm not a complete carnivore because I drink coffee, but I guess I clarify, I'm a carnivore who drinks coffee.
My dog ate a cow pie. Does that mean that she's not a carnivore either?
Yeah, exactly. So we can get super technical, and it boils down to, how do you feel, and if it doesn't make me feel good, I don't want to eat it. And if it does make me feel good, that's great. Some people won't even use spices. I mainly just use salt. That's all. I'm not a big giant spice person, but not going to lie, occasionally I sprinkle some garlic on there and paprika on my, my meat or something, and so some people get, freaked out about that too. So, there's so many more things to be worried about within the carnivore world than a little bit of spices, so I don't know. I feel good. I'm going to carry on.
I'm glad you brought up the spices. I get asked quite often in consultations and in coaching meetings, are spices okay? I don't, and I hate it when whenever someone says, "Can I eat this? Can I eat that?" I'm like, I just don't like the way that the question is phrased. This should not be an elimination diet. If you're eating ruminant animal meat to satiety, and your fat sources are good, and you're staying away from processed foods, I mean, my cravings for everything except for beef and salt completely went away. So anytime that just this is just me personally, is anything like extra added flavor onto the meat itself, it just takes away from the meat, because I love the way that ground beef tastes. Like, I love it. I love the way that steak tastes. And anything else, like any extra added flavor, I guess that's just why I like salt so much, because it brings out the natural flavor of the meat instead of adding something else onto it. I find it to be a more enjoyable experience to eat it that way.
I agree. And I also see, like, some of the problems that that people have with carnivore, or they forget why they're coming to, like, why they are looking for a diet or a way, you know, because usually they have issues, or whether it's weight or whether it's whatever type of issues going on with their body. So that's why it's
something.
Exactly. And so that's why it's a little bit slippery slope for me when I see these people that come and they to eat carnivore, yet they're trying to, you know, recreate all of these standard American diet, just all these different recipes, you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with having, you know, making carnivore pizza or carnivore whatever, but I think it's to truly get rid of the cravings, you have to get those kind of things out of your mind, because it's like, I don't eat pizza because I know what it does to me. So that's why I don't eat pizza, you know? And so that's where I mean, you gotta, to me, first of all, you have to find satiation and satisfaction with just meat, you know, and then add in things here and there if you want to for fun. But people that are trying to, you know, do carnivore lasagna, carnivore this, carnivore that, it's like, for me, especially in the beginning, I worry that people, they're not truly understanding why they aren't eating the lasagna, why they aren't eating the, you know, these things. And then it's it could kind of lead to frustration as to maybe why they're not losing weight, or maybe why they're not, you know, I mean. And so I found, for me personally, I found my best, like, losing weight and the best energy levels going up was when I literally in a day will eat, like, say 2 or 3 maybe max ingredients, you know? And so, but and that's the thing, when you're making like these casseroles and this stuff like that has all of this stuff in it, I mean, even though it's all carnivore, it's like, I think it's just like overloading your body and your system and stuff.
It is,
and so
exactly.
It stops your body from truly just burning fat and just becoming optimal.
Right.
That's my opinion.
You're so spot on. You can get away with eating so much more food if you optimize your digestion. When you eat something that has 5 or more ingredients in it, that's a lot more stomach acids that your body has to produce to be able to break those down. You stick with just one food and just leave it at that, then you can truly tell how much you need to eat. Because if eating more of the same thing sounds good, then great, you're probably hungry. And that's not, and that kind of psychology is not just limited to a meat-based diet. You could be eating pizza. I'm not even talking meats. I'm talking actual pizza.
Yes.
This was, I think, like 2 years ago. We had Greg on, Greg Boitos. He's a Skullbellz customer, and this dude, he eats pizza all the time, and he did an experiment where he ate nothing but pizza all day, every day for like, I think, a couple months. He wrote an entire book on it too. Wow. He's a super funny guy, and just obviously, I would never recommend that somebody eat nothing but pizza every day, and neither would he. But he did it as an experiment, and what he noticed was that he lost weight doing it, because it was just the same thing every single day. But when you have 5 different options of things to eat in a meal, you feel obligated, like you need to eat every single one of them. And then before you know it, you're now your stomach is in overdrive, trying to figure out what to do with all this, not just one type of food, but all these different types of foods. And now you're bloated, and now you're tired, and you're not going to have energy to do crap the rest of the day. So hopefully you're just going to watch TV after that, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I think that it's like, when, especially well, when if you're trying to watch, count macros or do anything, it's like when you start combining all of this food together, it can get out of control really fast. So, and but in the beginning, and I love to encourage people. I love like people that I meet, and I teach classes at the gym. If they ever ask me about things, I mean, obviously in the beginning, you don't want to overload them with too much information. You just want to, me personally, I just want to help them, just kind of simplify things. But then that was the beauty of being on carnivore now is I've been able to just like eliminate things that it's just like kind of like naturally they eliminate themselves, And so
right.
like in the beginning, I did eat more cheese but now I'm like, I don't feel good when I eat it. So it's eliminated, and I don't drink glasses of heavy cream. I have a little bit of splash in my coffee, so that's pretty much the only dairy that I get. So, I mean, that's the beauty of it is when you are able to listen to your body and know when you're satiated and know when, I feel good. That it's done. The door, the food window is shut. And so I just, and it's good. So I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot. We could always talk about a lot of stuff. It's just carnivore is just it's been simple. It's been like motivating. It's been just inspiring. It's been really good. So I'm happy.
What's it done for your mental clarity, like your cognitive energy, how you perform at your job, how you think throughout the day? Has there been an improvement there over the last 2 years?
I think so. I think so. I mean, and I especially, obviously I remember it more in the beginning when I first started versus now, because now it's just kind of like a normal, I mean, I feel, I just feel good and stuff. But definitely clearer. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's easier to process things. It's easier to, just like stuff, like if it's coming at you, it's easier to deal with stuff, And so, it definitely helps. I completely agree with that statement when they talk about the keto and carnivore with mental clarity. It truly is. And I think that's just from the processed foods. And then that once you eliminate that, boy, you're miles ahead of a lot of people. So, that's, I mean, I even will tell people, don't become a carnivore. Just eliminate these 3 things, white flour, white sugar, and processed foods. Start there and see, how well you feel. And then, I mean, it'll start happening after that. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Just going straight cold turkey to carnivore. I mean, you can do it. And if you want to do it, great, go for it. But if you're hesitant about going carnivore, I totally agree with you. I think that's a much wiser move because even though it's a primal way of eating, and yes, I believe that that we're designed to eat this way and that we're meant to eat this way, making a drastic change in any aspect of your life usually comes with consequences and quite a bit of an adjustment phase. So I'm totally with you. Get rid of anything that has lectins in it, phytic acid. So most people will see the best results getting rid of like bread and actually most vegetables first. You can even leave a lot of the carbs in there and still do just fine.
Yes.
Because that's usually what's most important to people. So then once you've got that down, a week later, then cut out the carbs. But it's dependent from person to person.
I mean, it's easy to say. We got to realize we obviously live in a world where we're inundated with, food, restaurants, commercials, and it's, I mean, and it's just so, but that, I mean, so once you can start making the baby steps with cutting out certain things and it is good. It's good for us I think it's good for ourselves to build self-control, start little and then, and then go from there. Because if people that like same thing with going to the gym, like, oh, I'm going to start working out. So they go crazy. And then they're so sore the next day or they're just miserable. And it's like, okay, that didn't go over well. I mean, it's just like, just start moving a little bit. And speaking of working out, that is one thing, boy, the last couple of years, I have been so excited to see like how much leaner I have gotten. And so those are other factors with being carnivore, eating fat and protein that my muscles are like popping out everywhere. And it's like places that, it's like you never thought they would ever show
But wait a second. How do you have muscle glycogen if you're not eating carbs?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
aren't you like super weak and flat in the gym? Like how do you get a pump? Oh my word.
Isn't that funny? You know, I mean, and that's what, so like when people question you, it's like, because people will start to question me and then they'll like, but then they see you and they start talking to you. And I think they kind of like rein their questions back in because they're like, okay, obviously to me, action speaks louder than words, you know? And so that's where you have to just, sometimes you literally have to zip your mouth and just go and then let them see you. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah. So, yeah.
And if you do zip your mouth and if you're walking the other way, then, you know, maybe just like spread your lats a little bit. And...
Exactly. Like flex a little bit. You're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, it is funny. So but I know we've all been taught, you know, it's like, it's the world we live in. We've been told, it's been pounded into our brains, you know, what we need to do. And breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And like, that's my most favorite meal to skip, you know, I mean, and so I'm just like, I'm sorry, but you know, I am a little I can be a little bit independent thinking on a lot of things, but it's, yeah. So we don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Breakfast, favorite meal to skip. I love
yeah,
that.
heck yeah.
And who's the people telling us that who's the people telling us that we need to be eating carbs, that we need to be eating breakfast, that we need to be getting our grains in?
The people that are making money off of those sick people. So I'm like, if you enjoy breakfast,
I'm kind of wondering if we should go into conspiracy theories now, or if we should save that for off the air, because I'm totally with you. There's people that want to fix your problems and make money off of it, and there's people that want to genuinely help you be healthier.
I mean, and it's sad to say, I mean, because when it does come to health, you literally have to follow the money. I mean, do they make money off of healthy people? No. And I feel like, and I totally now, even more so since switching to carnivore, stand on the belief that the things that God created are the best for us. The sun is good for us. That vitamin D is so good for us, you know, and animal products, they're good for us, you know? And so that's where you know, it's like, so I mean, that's just that fact alone is just enough to, anyways, people sometimes don't take to it very well.
Amen. So do you stick mainly with beef, or do you ever incorporate other red meats like venison or lamb?
You know, I have not had lamb before. I've venison. We don't really have the opportunity to get it very often. My husband does go hunting once a year, usually gets one, so I'll have a little bit here and there. But we don't really have the opportunity, just the availability. It's usually beef. So and like I said, 95% lion. The other, I do eat a little bit of pork and chicken. Probably my biggest, like if a treat will be like, I'll just roast chicken wings. I'll eat a plate of chicken wings, you know, or something like that. But it's pretty much just beef. I'm also actually now, if I'm not eating ground beef, I love to dehydrate tri-tip. That is like my most favorite. I'll get the untrimmed, so it has the good fat on it, slice it up thin, put it in my dehydrator for like 8 to 10 hours. And I'll eat that just for lunch and dinner. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorites. Yes. I don't know if you ever tried it, but yeah, it's so easy because it's easy to go. Like a couple of weeks ago, I did a trip from Washington to California, California to Washington, for my work, had to bring one of our trucks up there. 17 hours. I left my house at 2:30 in the morning. I drove into Washington, or I got up to where I was dropping the truck off at 7:30. So I drove straight through. And the only time I stopped was to get gas and to go to the bathroom. I had my dehydrated beef with me. I never stopped at any restaurants, nothing like that. So it travels super well. So I don't know and I got my dehydrator. It was cheap. It was off of like Facebook Marketplace, $60. And I love it.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And if you ever tried that, you guys definitely need to try it. It's good. The tri-tip too I've tried all the different other cuts, you know, but oh man, that tri-tip is good.
It would seem like it would have enough fat, like kind of spread out throughout the meat, but not like super heavy in one spot, like you see on like a New York strip steak or something, where like I could see where that wouldn't work as well.
You could so with the tri-tips, they have trimmed and untrimmed. So usually the trimmed tri-tip is more expensive than the untrimmed. So whatever's on sale is what I buy. Cause you get the most bang for your buck, but you just slice it thin, and I'll send you some pictures. I'll send you some pictures of it. And so you can see, but it's so simple, and it's just so easy to do. And some piece, they're just, and all I do is take the salt, put some salt on it and put it in there. And that's all it is beef and salt. It's good.
That's incredible. What other kind of cuts of steaks do you like? Like if you had to pick one favorite cut of steak?
I do like
What
ribeyes,
is
but
it?
they're so outrageously priced right now. And if you go to a restaurant, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just like, it's so, I feel like I'm committing a sin when I go to a restaurant and order like a $60 ribeye. I'm like, when I could literally go to the grocery store and buy my food for the whole week for that, that price, you know?
And and
But,
and and you can make it taste 10 times better than they do at the restaurant
yes,
every single
yeah,
time.
yeah. But if budget wasn't not an issue, I would say I definitely do like ribeyes. I like, that's just like, I like filet mignon. No, ribeyes is my favorite. And so.
How do you cook them? Do you sear them? Do you smoke them? Barbecue them?
I like to sear them. I like to,
Me too.
our friends, some of our friends, he's one of our friends, he's a chef. He showed me how he does it. And he literally turns the grill up to like 600. He puts it on, he lets the meat sit out for like an hour before he put it on the grill. That was the big trick, was let it kind of come up to a little bit like, not room temperature, but let it sit out of the fridge for like an hour. And then he puts the salt on it right before. He sets it on that searing hot grill for like 4 minutes on one side and then flips it 4 minutes or 5 minutes on the other. Or you could do it less than that, depending on how rare you want it. Take it off, let it sit for like 10 minutes and it's perfection. But yeah,
Wow.
definitely on high. And that's how we always cook them, just with on the grill, turn it up high. And so it's super fast too.
Hey everyone, Coach Taylor Milton here. Welcome to Skullbellz TV, the official YouTube channel of supersetyourlife.com, where you're going to discover a weekly upload of quick and easy to follow workout tutorials featuring Coach Colt, myself, or one of our athletes to keep your workouts fun, practical, and effective. Our family's latest keto carnivore recipes that fuel Colt's competitions and keep myself and our kiddos strong and healthy. Video uploads of the supersetyourlife.com podcast, now over 100 episodes. Your weekly dose of entertainment, education, and inspiration to fuel your life inside and beyond the gym, and much more. Last thing before we get into the video, we're asking a big favor from you. This has been working beautifully, so if you would please think of someone you care about that would benefit from this video, go ahead and smash that like button, click the share button, and text this video to them. That would mean the world to us. And while you're at it, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss more exciting content from Skullbellz TV, because our team has lots of meat and lots of muscle coming your way, and I promise you won't want to miss it. When you hit the subscribe button, you'll see a bell icon pop up. You want to click that too, so you're notified every time we release a new video. Thank you so much for the support. It means the world to us. Every like, share, and subscription helps our channel grow and supports our family's hard work. So thank you so much for doing your part too. That's all we ask. God bless you, and please enjoy this video.
You mentioned cost like a few minutes ago, and that's another one of the things that I get asked a lot too. Is like, especially in consultations, like I got to know, okay, what's your budget? Like, are you someone that can eat ribeyes every day? Like Wendy, we were just talking about Wendy.
Yeah.
She literally eats ribeyes every single day. Great. If you can afford that, then more power to you. Yeah. Most people can't. I certainly cannot afford that. So,
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm on team ground beef.
Yeah.
Have you found this way of eating to be more expensive, less expensive than how you ate like 2 or 3 years ago?
Definitely less expensive for me. Yeah. Well, for one, like for me personally, I mean, if we go out to eat, there's a lot of times we'll go out to eat that I don't even eat, just because I don't, I mean, it's just, I'm not hungry, or it's just like, like I said, I don't want to spend $40 for something when I'm just going to eat like the one little bit of meat on it, and I'm not going to touch anything else that's on the plate. So
yeah.
Me eating out we don't eat out. I don't eat out that very often, or that often. And then, yeah, just as a whole, I shop sales, and then I just will stock up on it. So it's pretty simple, I mean, like yesterday I'd found some really good deals on some ground beef, the 80/20. I took it home, I cooked it up. I have my food for like the next 2 or 3 days. You know what I mean? It's just made it simple. So I'll kind of just cook it really rare. So then when I do heat it up, if it cooks a little bit more, it's not like overdone. So, and then again, I realize I'm eating to just what I'm eating for, the reason I'm eating, I mean, I'm not eating because I've had a stressful day and I need to like have it calm me down or anything. Mm-hmm. I'm eating it because I'm going to be working out, or I'm just living, and I need the energy. So that's a big thing.
When you start looking at food as emotional therapy, you dig yourself into a hole really, really quick. That's not what food is for. Food is fuel.
Yeah.
If you're stressed about your day, that's a great opportunity to read. That's a great opportunity to pray. That's a great opportunity to spend some time with your loved ones. That's food is not the answer.
Go
Food
for a
just
walk,
makes
go do something. Exactly. You know,
yes.
and so,
yes.
and I feel sorry for people because like, I mean, I should say I have sympathy for people that, you know, I mean, genetics does play a role in things, you know, and stuff. And so it's some people, you know, I mean, they are skinny, but yet they're not, they maybe are unhealthy or they're, you know, over, you know, the different things. And so I do know that those are factors too. And so that's why we got to look at food as what it's doing for us, you know? And so that, I mean, I have 5 sisters. So I'm right in the middle. I have 2 above me and 3 below me. There's out of us 6 girls, 3 of us, the girls are like, have been stick skinny. They could literally eat McDonald's, or they could eat whatever they want and they never gain weight. Then there's me and then my 2 younger sisters that we have struggled with our weight our whole life. It's always been up and down, up and down. So that's where and I do know we all came from the same parents, same mom, same dad, but our body types are so different. And so that's where I think it's been with me that I've gotten to more focused and more aware of what food works for me and what food doesn't, that I do, you know what I mean? And so I have to watch that and I know what makes me feel good and what doesn't. And so that's where if I am having an emotional day or having a stressful day, I, you know, don't turn to the, you know, what it might instantly satisfy me, but it's going to be in the long run, it's going to hinder me and it's going to make me not happy. So that's, you know, I mean, there's so many, it's such a dynamic, a lot of factors in that stuff. So.
Emotional eating is a very real thing. And it's something that I used to do quite a bit actually before going strict carnivore, or as strict as I am right now, I guess you could say. Are there, what rituals do you have or practices, go-tos do you have when you've had a particularly stressful day and you might have some temptation to emotionally eat? How do you work around that?
A couple of things. I think for starters, I've now completely in the habit, if I'm going to like emotionally eat, if that's what we're going to call it, it'll be something in the carnivore world. You know, it'll be something that maybe I'm not hungry, but I just need something, you know, I just want something. So I'll go beef jerky or I'll go get some of my, you know, whatever. Or if I always usually have ground beef cooked up or bacon, something cooked up in the fridge, I'll go eat something like that. Or I do try to like, let's get outside, let's go for a walk, let's go do something, you know, just kind of like try to diffuse whatever is the situation might be, you know. But I mean, let's face it, we live in a crazy world and sometimes you can't. So it's going to have to come down to willpower, I think, as part of it. And then also realizing that once you get, the situation isn't going to last forever. And then once it's over, it's like, I think the more times you go through it and you're successfully go through it without binging or without going off the deep end with eating, you feel way more like, wow, that was awesome. You
start building confidence after a while doing that.
Exactly. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing right there, is just getting through it. You know, like if I am going to so-called eat more than, if I'm, you know, I'm not truly hungry, but I'm going to eat, it's definitely going to be something carnivore. It's going to be more meat or something. I'll cook up some bacon. Bacon always satisfies, you know, I mean, it's just it always tastes good, or, you know, or something like that. So
if anybody's having a bad day and you smell bacon and you start eating it, I mean, you're happy after that, right?
Exactly. Cause so for sure. So it's,
So for eating out, I know it's something that you don't do very often, but you're busted, because I totally saw on your Instagram profile a few weeks ago, you went to In-N-Out.
That's my go-to. If I do have to go to lunch, it's In-N-Out, get the burger patties, you know, and that's my favorite. And I just discovered that there's a place around here.
Some good burgers.
Yeah. They might have there's a place called the Habit Burger. I don't know if they're just California thing or if they're all over. But oh man, their burgers are 100% beef, just delicious. And they're only like, I literally can get 4 burger patties for like $5.60. So it's like, that's my go-to. If I do go out, and when I do go to a restaurant, if it's with the family or if it's whatever, I always will. I'm not ashamed to ask the waiter, can you buy things a la carte? You know? And so, and if I can't, then I always look for like chicken wings, but I always make sure they're not breaded. They're just plain basic chicken wings.
Yeah.
And I do try to avoid seed oils. I do all that stuff. But I mean, I'm not going to put myself in, carnivore jail if I happen to eat a chicken wing that happened to be fried in something that wasn't, like an oil that's a seed oil, but those are the things I go to, would be like a chicken wings. I always see if I can just order the things a la carte. And for the most part, they're usually pretty accommodating. And there's been occasional when I've bought, we don't do it a la carte, so I'll buy the burger and deconstruct it and just eat the patty and the bacon. So, yeah, because we got to live, we got to eat, right? So.
I know. I always tell the waiter, I'm like, just please don't bring the bun. Please don't bring any fries. Like, oh, it comes with it. It's free. I'm like, I know, but like it's not going to get wasted. I mean, you will be wasting food if you bring me fries and a bun, and they'll still bring it because like they feel like they have to. Like, I'm sorry, it's my job. I'm like,
they always have to put on lettuce or something. But thankfully, we have chickens at home, so we take all the table scraps, put them in there, and the chickens eat it.
Oh.
That's what we do.
Oh, okay, good, great. I didn't know that you had chickens. Eggs, is that something that you do?
Oh yeah, I do eat eggs. I like eggs. Yeah, yeah. We have like 25 chickens actually. We have a lot of them, so we get a lot of eggs.
I'm finding that even a lot of hardcore carnivores and hardcore lion diet people are that seems to be the exception. Eggs just seem to do great with everybody, and especially if you're kind of someone that really likes condiments and you miss them and you don't want to do sugar-free ketchup and stuff, which you shouldn't. Nope. then that's I've seen a lot of people use raw egg yolks or even just like slightly undercooked eggs and just throw them on top of their meat.
Yep. I mean, I know a lot of people, some people like, if they're trying to heal autoimmune issues, different things, or like they have histamine issues and all of this stuff, they're like, oh, the egg, the whites and all this stuff. I've never had any of those issues. So I do like eggs. You just give me 3 or 4 scrambled eggs with a big plop of butter on top and I'm happy. So I will eat eggs, but I mean, I'll probably in the average, maybe 3 times a week. I don't eat them every day or whatever, but they are good. And they're definitely acceptable in my diet. I love them.
For sure. Yeah. I think I'm kind of the same as you. I'll do eggs like a couple times a week. Normally just whenever I feel like it, whenever I'm craving it, or if this is probably not the best reason to do it, but like if I'm low on beef, or if it means that like I have to open up a new package of ground beef, then like I just won't do it, and I'll just throw eggs on. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to take 10 minutes to do that.
I agree that and yeah, that's one thing that. If people could just realize the simplicity, it's like being a carnivore, it's truly almost freeing, I mean, because it's like, it is simple, I mean, there are like, to have scrambled eggs and butter, I am satisfied and carry on with my day, and you do have to remember, like if I have my meat, be frozen, like pull it out of the freezer the night before or whatever, you know what I mean? Like kind of think ahead a little bit that way, but it's just so simple. I mean, you don't really even have to overthink, oh, what am I going to cook now? What am I going to do now? And so it's like my decisions are already made. I know what I have in my freezer. I know what I have in my fridge, and it's easy, well, and so.
Well, especially for someone like you, because you're just a go-getter. I mean, like you're never not doing something. You're never just sitting around waiting for the phone to ring. I mean, like you work in construction, you're teaching fitness classes. I mean, you have a big family, and so the last thing that you have time to think about is what your next meal is going to be, and because you always know what it is. And I'm the exact same way. I was meal prepping peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and like tuna fish sandwiches weeks at a time. I know it's gross, and like they definitely got kind of soggy and disgusting by the end of the week. But I was doing that in college just because I was like, I was spreading myself so thin. I didn't have time. I wish that I was on the carnivore diet in college. I probably would have graduated.
yeah, for sure. It does. It's nice because I'll cook up like 3 or 4 pounds of ground beef, put it in my fridge, and then just plop out a little bit when I'm hungry or what I need for lunch or dinner, and then I go. So it does make it very simple.
Right. Okay. Oregon meats. You're not a huge fan of those, are you?
No,
which is funny because nose to tail used to be so popular. Now I just don't hear anybody preaching it anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a big texture person. Like I have never, like even before carnivore, like say bananas. I love the flavor of banana, but the texture of banana just didn't ever sit well with me. Like I would gag trying to
mom's the
swallow
same
it down.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's some reason, like I think it's texture, and then also the like the visual of it, like oysters the same way. Like I just would I'd rather fast. I could honestly, I would much rather do a fast. You challenge me to a 48 hour, 72 hour, 5-day fast. I'm game there, but I just can't do it.
Okay, well, you're officially on record saying that you're open to challenges now. So I'm going to challenge you. I think that this is what I tell everybody that's like hesitant about organs. First of all, you don't need them. Like there's like you do not, like nobody has to do it. But if you're feeling like challenging yourself, beef tongue. Oh my gosh, I know it's a tongue, but if you can just get past the fact that it's a tongue,
the thing. I think
it's like shredded pork, but it tastes 10 times better. The flavor is so bomb. That and beef heart, I would basically say that it's, just think of it like a giant steak. And the flavor again is out of this world. Liver, it's got to be fresh and it's got to be raw. I can't do cooked liver personally.
Yeah. I mean, the closest I've been to doing organs is that pluck seasoning or whatever I heard people talk about. It's like dried or something, maybe like sprinkle a little bit over, something. That's the only thing I could think of even doing liver or organ wise. I'm just like, I don't know. It kind of reminds me of years and years ago when they came out with like, they try to change the color of ketchup to like green just for like a, marketing thing. And it just like, it looked gross, and even though it tasted exactly like ketchup, but I just couldn't handle the green color. So I don't know. I just like the visual. Maybe I'm sure like with anything, like if you like were to like create, make the dish and then just not tell me what it was and I'm eating it, then it might be one thing. But for me to personally cook it, I don't know. I can't promise anything there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. My daughter Everly, every time she sees me eating raw liver, she literally begs for it. Good. It's hilarious. And you know what's funny is our dog just isn't about it. You would think that a dog would be all over raw organ meat. Like no, yeah. Our dog wants ruminant animal meats just like normal human beings do. I think my daughter and I are kind of on an island there for our love for raw liver.
Well, it's like even my girls, they love sushi. I've always, all of their lives.
Issue there too, huh?
I was like, the texture of sushi, like the sticky rice and all that, it just like grosses me out. So I don't eat that either. I never did, and I obviously wouldn't now. But in the past, I just like the texture. I don't know. I'm a huge texture person, so I'll just stick with my meat.
Yeah,
it makes me happy.
Good stuff. We are coming up on an hour. I totally respect your time, and so I promise I will refrain myself from asking any further questions except for this one, which is if there was someone that was like, hey, I'm 30 pounds overweight and I'm and I just feel like I should have more energy throughout the day. I'm kind of thinking about this carnivore diet thing, but it sounds kind of sketchy. What would your advice to them be?
Try it. I mean, honestly, it's like, especially people that they've been like, when you go to like look for help. I mean, if you're to the point where you're like, oh, I'm so fed up and I'm so frustrated, and they're looking on the internet or they're looking wherever, you're going to get a million different pieces of advice. But it comes down to just try it. Give yourself 30 days. 60 days, 90 days would be ideal, but literally just try it, stay true to it, and then just trust the process, and just let it, and like we talked about, start small, just like eliminating certain things. I didn't go to carnivore right from eating the standard American diet into carnivore. I did the periods of time through keto where I would eliminate, all the processed foods and all of that type of stuff. And then it just kind of like it transitioned easily into it. But definitely try it. The 30 days goes by like that. This time, it just flies by. The older you get, it goes by faster. So just for your own self and for your own sake, just try it, and just judge yourself on how you feel. Don't base it on what somebody says you should feel based on you do this and you're going to have all of these results. No, because that can sometimes get frustrating because we don't all have the same results, you know, and stuff. And so, and I see a lot of people that they start it and then they don't see the results. So then they start adding, you know, bringing in other people and other ideas and all this other stuff. And then they're just kind of like all in a state of confusion. So just, I love the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid, and just, you know, and just, and if you do need to, if you do have a lot of health issues, bring it back to the line diet is great for that. Eliminate everything and then start adding stuff in. If you could add the seasonings in there, if you could add the dairy in there, you know, and things like that. But just really just try it. That's the first step, is just trying, you know, and don't be afraid to try, and don't, you know, and don't do it all at once. Just do it in baby steps. And I don't know. I think that it can work for, I think there's very few people that it doesn't actually work for.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's like what have you got to lose? You can always go back to your own to your old way of eating if it backfires that bad, but you're never going to know until you try it.
I agree. And I think also a part of it is kind of something we talked about too, but when people have all of these issues, it's kind of sad how their issues truly become part of their identity. And so if they're going to change, that all of a sudden these issues go away, it's like they've almost lost part of their identity. And that's a scary thing for a lot of people, I feel. And so, you know, I mean, like if they've talked about like their arthritis or their this or their that or their weight, you know, whatever, it truly becomes part of their identity. And that's kind of like what they cling on to. It's like their little comfort zone. And one of the things I say in my classes all the time, if you want to see change, you have to get outside of your comfort zone. If you are staying inside your comfort zone, you're just going to stay there. But in order to truly change, we got to get outside of our comfort zone safely. And then that's when change will happen. And so that's where I think it's like, you know, it's, you know, and everybody, you know, we all have a story, we all have a history and a background and all of this stuff. So it's just try it. That would be my definitely just try it.
Exactly. I think most people come to this diet because they're troubleshooting some sort of an autoimmune issue, or they're trying to lose weight. Like those are usually the two biggest ones.
Yes.
And sorry, I don't know where I was going with that. But so that's why people come to this diet. But then what you realize is you become a different person. Yes. Just like your view on food, your view on life, your view on everything that you do throughout the day. Getting sunlight, getting grounded, it's like it all comes together, and that's kind of something that you see within this whole carnivore keto space.
Completely agree. Completely agree.
Cool.
Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. If you found this helpful, please pay it forward by sharing with a friend. One more thing before we sign off. If you're not subscribed to our nutrition podcast, Carnivore Coach's Corner, you're really missing out. Coach Colt and Mark Ennis are thrilled to announce they're ranked number 108 in the United States by Spotify in nutrition podcasts. Number 1, here we come. Colt and Mark collaborate weekly, diving deep into meat-based nutrition and advanced hypertrophy training, featuring top coaches and nutritionists from across the globe. If you're a fan of the low-carb lifestyle or just getting into it, just search Carnivore Coach's Corner on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, Overcast, Google Podcasts, and if your podcatcher isn't on this list, tell us where you listen and we'll make sure to get Carnivore Coach's Corner wherever you're listening. Thanks again one more time. We'll catch you on episode 184, and I'm going to leave you with our battle cry here at supersetyourlife.com. 1 Corinthians 6:19-20. Do you not know that your body is a sanctuary of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have from God? You are not your own, for you were purchased at a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body.